Bob Sansevere here with Pioneer Press, Vikings beat reporter extraordinaire, Jeremy Fowler.
You're going to have to do better than that. I need
Bob
a stronger
Sansevere
introduction.
here with Jeremy Fowler, Vikings guy.
No, I need the voice. I need Bob's enthusiasm.
Say something to make me enthusiastic, and then I'll give it to you. Meantime, Pioneer Press Deputy Sports Editor John Pluym.
Baby! He gets it.
He just cackled, so that's not on that. Now I'm exhausted. Anyway, Joe Webb, you did a story in the Pioneer Press, TwinCities.com, Twitter. I'm sure it's on your Facebook page too. What are they going to do with Webb? I think, frankly, I'd mentioned this to you before. Put him at wide receiver, put him at tight end. Just get him on the field.
Well, at this point, they might need to move him to safety so they can get some help there the way they played last
That's
couple
not
weeks.
a bad idea.
I mean, he's tall enough for it, but I don't know. Here's the thing, though. I mean, you get him out there, he gets injured. I think he's got a lot of value as a backup
Once he
quarterback.
steps on the field, everyone can get injured. So quit babying these guys and get them on the field. There's a team with 2 wins.
The problem is what they can't do is they can't be indecisive about it like they had been for most of the season, where they threw him in there for a couple ill-timed Wildcat packages. It didn't work. He's the kind of guy that either needs to be out there or just to say, let him develop behind the scenes. They need to make a decision. I think that he can do both. Maybe do a Cordell Stewart model or what Brad Smith is doing in Buffalo. Let him get out there in a more extended package. He's one of the best athletes you have. Play him, but then still develop him as your backup quarterback.
Fine, develop him as the backup, but get him on the field. And also, the final play, put aside the face mask. I don't understand. The previous play, there was a penalty because the guy, John, you knew everyone was coming. John, why is there any sense you can make of why he's not in shotgun? He's a young quarterback who would have a chance to see the field and also to get running, to maybe run the darn thing in.
I thought the perfect play at that point in the game, you've got 9 seconds to go, was to spread the field with like twins left, twins right, have him in the shotgun, Gerhardt next to him, and give him the option to either run or pass that zone read play that the Broncos use so well with Tim Tebow. I thought that was the perfect play at that point in the game. If the pass isn't there, the run's not there, you throw it away. You still got 2 seconds, 3 seconds to run another play. The thing I did like about what Bill Musgrave did do on Sunday, I like how creative he was with the offense. The play they ran on the goal line with Schenkel that they scored the touchdown on, very creative. Nice play design, and I like the crossbuck action they were running with Harvin and Gerhardt. That seemed they were getting 10, 11, 12 yards of crack on that. They could have run that down on the goal line, but it just seems at crucial times when Bill Musgrave needs to make a call, he throws everything out the window and comes up with something on page 450 that doesn't work.
Well, that one was baffling, as was the one a few weeks ago when he did not have Rudolph or Percy Harvin on the field, when Rudolph had just scored one of the great touchdowns, certainly of the year, and one of the best I've seen in years from a Viking player when he reached up for the touchdown.
Well, I was just saying there's something always off because when they try to counteract that, where this time in the red zone on the final play, they try to go to Rudolph, which I like there as far as the mismatch. You lob it up to him.
Yep.
He'll either catch it, or if it's not there and he's covered, you throw it out of bounds. The minute Webb pump faked, the play was over. They're already at him. But, there's always something off. Like you
That's
said,
why he's in shot.
the I formation, it was tough. Joe Webb was playing very well, being able to see the whole field where he can make a guy miss.
Well, the other disturbing thing about that, too, is if you remember what happened in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, when they had Webb roll to his left, they'd run that drag route across the middle, and he threw the ball behind Schenkel by like 5 or 10 yards. He had Rudolph open for a 20 or 25-yard gain, did the same thing again. With a young quarterback, why would you have him roll left? When he's a right-handed guy, he's more successful going to his right, throwing the football. It's going to give him more options. You got a tight end over there. You got 2 wide receivers. You got Gerhardt to lead block for him. It just made so much sense for him to go right instead of left.
And also on that play, you've seen it, I've seen it. Perhaps the Viking coaches didn't. This is a kid that at the combine jumped over at least 5.5 feet of mats. Just took like a maybe 10 feet start. I think he could hurdle a defensive player and get in the end zone.
I do too. He's just an incredible athlete, and it's going to be on Musgrave in the offseason to figure out how they're going to use this kid. Because if they don't figure out a way to use him, he's probably going to be out of here after next year. He'll be a free agent. He signed that 3-year contract as a 6th-round draft pick. you could make the argument the Vikings might have two of the better young quarterbacks, but if they don't figure out a way to use Joe Webb, I think it's just it's a huge mistake on Musgrave's part.
Well, and Joe Webb certainly not hurt Aroshimadu. Could you have asked for a better pass? Probably the best pass Joe Webb will ever throw. Splits the numbers on his jersey and it ricochets off.
It did look like the defender got his hand in there. I think he ricocheted the ball a little bit.
But you're paid to catch the ball.
Yeah.
It still hit off his pads. Because
Right.
I heard one of the announcers, I don't know if it was Billick or not, who I think by the end of the game, John, he might have actually said Jared Allen instead of Gerald Allen.
Yeah.
He might have had somebody correcting him.
Well, it's a play you have to make, but this is where you're at when you're so depleted at receiver and you didn't sign a big-time free agent. Aroshimadu was your only – well, they signed Michael Jenkins. He's on IR. Is the only guy left that they signed in the offseason, and he's a third or fourth stringer at – he's played well at times, but he's not a starter.
But they found out what everyone knew, that Bernard Berrian was not a guy you can count on. But
Right.
that wasn't a secret to people who've watched.
No, it's not, but these are the kind of results you get, drop passes at a key moment when you just don't have the personnel.
Now, we had a headline in today's paper about Cedric Griffin not in the doghouse. Well, okay, he may not be in the doghouse, but he's certainly finding his way to the sidelines. He sounds like he wants to be done. Also, Cedric, nobody's going to be picking you up.
Right.
I mean, I feel bad for him because before the knee injuries, he was a rising, talent that could have been a really good player for the Vikings. But coming back as he's tried to do from those two knee surgeries is very difficult, and it is unfortunate. He's not ready to be playing.
Right. Nobody's blaming him for trying to come back and struggling a little bit because of what he's gone through. The problem is, I think his confidence waned over time, where we saw in some of these plays he just, he doesn't jam guys. Frazier's issue is basic fundamentals. He's forgetting and having lapses on. He's just letting guys blow by him, or at least try to jam him, reroute a guy. He's not doing that. You can tell his confidence is gone, and he's due a lot of money. I wouldn't be surprised. I know people think he's gone, although I don't think they've completely given up on him. I've heard that they've at least considered playing him at safety in the future, or trying him out at safety, significantly cut his salary. I mean, you can't pay him almost $9 million over the next 2 years.
First of all, confidence is vital, because I've noticed at times when you're writing and you're editing, you can tell he's lacking confidence. But try Griffin and Antoine Winfield as your safeties, because what you got now is not working, and then get a couple of cornerbacks.
I don't know if Winfield at this point can play safety. Do you? I mean, I think.
I think he could.
I think he's still a valuable corner.
No, I would put him at safety because he is the best hitter on the team, pound for pound.
Yeah,
when he's healthy.
But considering what they have, they don't. They need him at corner because they don't have anybody else. I mean, they can draft one.
The thing is with him in that cover two scheme, you've got to have cornerbacks who are physical at the line of scrimmage and can tackle. And what they have right now is. Right. You've got Griffin, who's not physical anymore because both of his knees are blown out.
They both were, though, weren't they? In 2009, both those guys
He
were
was.
jamming.
He was a great tackler, but now I think he's, it goes back to the confidence thing. You tackle well when you believe in what you have below your waist, where you can pivot around, you trust your knees, you trust your ankles. He doesn't trust them right now because of the injuries.
He's hurt right now. What's he got to trust?
Well, and then the same thing with Winfield. I mean, arguably, he might be the best tackler to ever play the game at the cornerback position. That's how good he is.
Better than Deion Sanders?
Better than Deion Sanders, yeah. So to move him back to safety, I mean, it makes sense in some ways, but I really like him at that third corner, that nickel spot. And I think what Jeremy wrote on Sunday, you're probably going to see Chris Cook back next year, and I think they need to go in the draft or they need to go into free agency, and they got to find themselves a corner that can
Keep in mind,
cover two.
Well, I'll ask John this because he's a bit of a historian. San Francisco 49ers, first Super Bowl team. How many players in the secondary were rookies?
Well, you had
fellow by the name of Ronnie Lott,
Eric Wright, Carlton Williamson.
Three of them were rookies. You can play with rookies in the secondary if they're any good, not if you have pressure up front.
But the game has changed so much since that. When was that? 1982. That Super Bowl.
The game is still about
Pontiac
hitting and tackling.
It's still about hitting and
making plays.
The defensive coverages are difficult, and I mean you can see these guys the Vikings have. They don't even grasp.
You know what I
the
say to that?
Fundamentals.
Phooey. Bring in guys who know what they're doing and can play the game because they don't have them now in that secondary. That's a problem. And we'll talk about other problems in the weeks. Well, fortunately, there's only 3 weeks left to have to talk about these guys, and then
it's on to the draft. Yes.
By the way, we'll give the update combined, although the update hasn't been updated in weeks, except for the second number. The Leslies, 2 Vikings coaches named Leslie, record. Do you know it? It's 5 on the front end.
Oh yeah, it's
24 on the 5 and 24.
5 and 24.
If you don't count the interim record. 5-24.
I'm thinking 3-13.
Oh, you're seeing a
They're going to win Washington?
I think either Washington or the Bears. I think it's actually more likely they'll beat the Bears in the finale.
Yeah, that team's falling apart.
Sage will make his first start as a Viking against the Bears.
Before we fall apart any more than we have, we'll call it a day.